Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing Sons of the Forest in the minimum and recommended requirements GPUs. So this one right here is the minimum required GPU to run the game. It's the GTX 1060 3GB model Pascal architecture. It's the MSI 3 GTOC version of the card, exactly. And it also asks for an RX 570 4GB model, but I don't have that card, so let's test it with the 1060. And on the recommended side of things, we got the GTX 1080 Ti from Gigabyte, Triple Fan Edition. No backplate in this one, but it's still very, very beautiful indeed. And they also recommend the RX 5700 XT, which is very close in performance to this one. So let's move on to the game now, shall we? Let's go over the PC specs now. We got the 1063GB installed first with the latest NVIDIA drivers and no overclocks. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power Up's GPU-Z if you're interested. And over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5800X3D and 32GB of RAM, DDR4 clocked at 3600 MHz. This is only so we don't have any CPU bottlenecks whatsoever, and I'm not testing the minimum requirements and recommended requirements. It's only the two GPUs. Let's go now. Finally in the game. After like an hour of trying to buy it, I finally made it, my friends. We're playing at 1080p resolution using max FPS. I guess that unlocks them because it goes up to like 240 and then max. And over on the graphics settings, we're using the low settings preset. There's still an ultra low settings preset, but you know, it's 1060. I think it should be capable of playing this on low. Full resolution for some reason, even though we only have 3GB of VRAM. I'm curious to see that VRAM usage here. I turned off everything right here. I don't really like most of these effects anyways, and film grain as well. All right, what is this? Oh my god, the FOV is like 5. What the heck? What is it with the FOVs these days? I need to change that. Maybe it's just a cutscene though. Look at that, 44 frames per second here. That's not too bad. That's minimum requirements territory, I think. Maybe even better than that, honestly. Like low settings. It's not even the lowest settings in 1080p. Well, it's 1080p. It looks decent, right? Not bad. Oh boy, that is loud AF, actually. Okay, so these are the people that we are looking for. And look at that, 79 FPS there, looking at the laptop. That's pretty good. I mean, if the FOV wasn't like 5, I'd be pretty impressed, actually. But, you know, there's not much to render in this area of the screen. Open emergency only. So, oh, okay. The FOV fixed itself, guys. It's not 5 anymore. It's about like 6. No, it's not 60, maybe like 80 or something. I need to change that, though. Oh, yes, we got an FOV slider. That is amazing. Only up to 95, but I'll take it, you know. Let's pick up some stones. Oh, there are little squirrels already. This is feeling quite okay now that we landed. It's not stuttery anymore, but it might start stuttering in just a little bit. Yeah, that frame time is not completely smooth, but I think you can't really feel any issues here. If you don't have a frame time graph, it's gonna feel all right for sure. So that's pretty good to see. You know, a game in 2023 that doesn't stutter is like, it's an outlier. That's a shame, but it is an outlier. And even with 3GB of VRAM maxed out, it's hanging in there, the 1063GB model. Not bad. Hi, dude, how's it going? Should we help him or, like, he's not even making any noise. That's so weird, dude. Early access. Oh, yes, I gotta mention this is in early access still. So it's prone to change. He's out of it, isn't he? Oh, boy. Oh, my God. Okay. Kelvin... goodbye. Oh, that looked like he was saying goodbye to him. Why so aggressive, dude? Just take the damn paper there. All right. Let's explore, shall we, my friends? Run around for a little bit. Try to find some bad people that eat other people, because that's what this game is all about, right? And we also gotta find the billionaires, of course. Alright, so gotta say that some of the textures do look quite bad, but it is low settings after all, and I think the 1063GB is doing a pretty decent job. A lot of people say that the 1060 is not a good card anymore, especially in my Forspoken video that I made. I saw a ton of comments saying, well, it's a 7-year-old card. Of course, it can't do 720p 30 plus FPS all of the time. Well, this 1080p low settings, not even the lowest settings, and it's doing around 60 on average. That's pretty impressive, and this, well, it doesn't look as good as Forspoken on minimum settings, but it does look better than it at 720p, that's for sure. Another big stutter right there. So yeah, I think this is very acceptable performance, especially for an early access title. They can still fix and iron out those stuttering issues that happen every now and again. And, I mean, those are probably RAM or VRAM related, actually, not RAM. So yeah, this is quite a pleasant surprise. I'm not sure if it will get more intensive as we progress into the game, but given that the game takes place in a forest, and forests are usually the most intensive areas in games because of the massive vegetation around them, yeah, I think it won't really vary too much from this, and I think these are like worst case scenarios basically everywhere, I guess. Maybe during the night it would drop a little bit or not. Usually it's the other way around. Near the water it doesn't even drop, like in Call of Duty Warzone 2 or Hogwarts Legacy, for example. So yeah, I think if you want to play Sons of the Forest with the minimum requirements GPU, you're good to go. Yes, VRAM will be maxed out. Yes, it will swap things between RAM and VRAM probably. But it is still mostly a smooth experience, and I'm pretty impressed to see this. Like, we've walked around for a little bit right now, and we only saw like a couple of big stutters. 1% lows are actually quite good there at 40. This is not the full review of the performance of the 1063GB in this game. I just wanted to see like a single setting here, minimum requirement setting, I would say, 1080p low, and see how it performs on the card. And now we should move on to the 1080 Ti part of this video. Here we go, the 1080 Ti is now installed, running the latest NVIDIA drivers as well. I clean installed the drivers, by the way, using DDU. You can see all of its specs here in Tech PowerUp's GPU Z, 11 gigs of GDDR5X memory, and over on the left, we're pairing it with the same Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Let's go now. Here we go, we're still at 1080p resolution, guys. I might actually try it out a little bit at 1440p if it performs well. And we're using the high settings preset at the moment with SMAA anti-aliasing. I also turned on screen space reflections as well as micro shadowing and contact shadows. These actually came on by default, by the way. Even on the low settings preset, I needed to disable them manually on the 1060. Oh yes, this is awesome. 90s over here. Holy, the 1080 Ti is still such an amazing card, guys. And we're finally down here. Stuttering is happening right now, probably loading things as usual. So it wasn't really only a VRAM limitation with the GTX 1063GB. Remember, we got 11 gigs on the 1080 Ti. So if we still see those stuttering issues, huge stutters, it's just the game loading. Yeah, like that. Okay, so let's start counting the FPS. Okay, 60s. I would say that's pretty reasonable. Oh boy. Massive stutter. A pretty reasonable experience for recommended requirements. You know, 1080p, high settings, around 60 frames per second. It's pretty accurate. The developers kind of nailed the system requirements here. I'm pretty confident that with the CPU requirements it's going to be the same thing. Unfortunately, I can't really test that because I don't have a ton of CPUs. I'm working on that. I already have like 35 CPUs in my collection. But yeah, I still don't have all of them to make these system requirements videos. So we got to stick with GPU requirements videos, all right? Let's talk about that RAM utilization. It is lower than at 1080p low settings with the GTX 1063GB, but that's only because it was swapping some textures and stuff like that into the RAM because we didn't have enough VRAM when testing the 3GB 1060, even with low settings. Although that resolution setting was still set to full on low, so that's probably why it was utilizing a lot more VRAM. Another big stutter right there. Yeah, that's just gonna happen, I guess. And look at that, 69 FPS on average. that number follows me freaking everywhere. I don't understand. Yeah, this can definitely be a super immersive experience with a 1080 Ti, guys. If you want 1440p or higher, yeah, it's definitely gonna drop from 60 frames, even with a card as strong as this. 5700 XT should be very similar in performance. Can we also mine? Oh boy, no, okay, never mind, this is not Rust. I keep forgetting that. It looks similar to Rust in terms of the mechanics and stuff. It's also a survival game, and I have a lot of hours in Rust, so I can't wait to get into this game and actually play it a lot. Probably gonna do it outside of benchmarking as well. Especially with the co-op mode in this game, it should be very fun to play with friends, for sure. But yeah, so far, I haven't really seen it drop from 60, guys. That's very interesting. It gets really close to 60 frames. Okay, there we go, 58, 59. But you know what? It doesn't really hinder your experience, even if it drops slightly from 60 frames per second, because it is a single-player game after all. Even though it's first person, it still feels quite responsive even with 50-something frames per second. There is no added input lag like it happens in a lot of other games. So yeah, once again, you can definitely enjoy this game a lot. And it seems to be quite well optimized. Good job, developers, for bringing us a game in 2023 that actually works. This is actually looking pretty good. All right, I like it, guys. I like the optimization. It's pretty damn good. Let's try it out quickly at 1440p now. All right, 2560 by 1440 is now the resolution, still using the exact same high settings preset with SMAA anti-aliasing, well, SM anti-aliasing, that's it. And as you can see, it is getting 50-ish frames per second. Dropping down into the 40s at times, it's still gonna be a smooth-ish experience. Honestly, if you don't mind drops from 60 FPS, it's gonna be fine. And in a single-player title, I can see a lot of people playing like this. Now we're actually getting around the same FPS as 1063GB at 1080p low, but at 1440p high. So that's the power of the GTX 1080 Ti, guys. It's an extremely powerful GPU, even all of these years later. It released back in 2017, actually. And yeah, as we've seen so far, the FPS don't seem to change by all that much in different areas of the game. So I guess you can rest assured that it will get around like 40 to 70 frames per second most of the time using these settings. I know that there are quite a lot of people playing games with the 1080 Ti still at 1440p because you bought it back in the days with a 1440p monitor, and it still does a really good job at that resolution in a ton of games out there. Look at that. Now it's getting 60s now that we aren't in a very, very bushy area, you know, with a ton of bushes around us. So this is it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if you're going to pick up this game or if you already did. Because, yeah, I already saw a ton of people playing it on Steam. Like 30,000 people in the first 30 minutes or so. That's crazy, actually. And, yeah, I'm going to enjoy some more Forest in the next video, testing another GPU. See you soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.